The night had fallen over Vorton Ridge, leaving the jagged cliffs bathed in moonlight. Shadows stretched across the valley, and the wind carried the faint echo of earlier battles. Lieutenant Arik crouched behind a boulder, observing the alien forces regrouping. Commander Zyra had withdrawn temporarily, but Arik knew that she would return. Her pride would not allow defeat to stand. "We need to finish this," Arik whispered to his team. "We've proven ourselves so far, but they'll come back stronger. This is our chance to show that humans can hold their ground and win." His team nodded silently. Every soldier understood the stakes. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing an enemy that was stronger and faster than anything they had ever encountered. Yet they were not afraid. Courage, unity, and clever thinking had carried them this far. They would carry them to victory. From the alien command ship above, Zira watched the valley below. Her pride had been wounded, and her confidence shaken, but she was determined. She would not allow a small group of humans to challenge her authority. "Prepare the final assault," she ordered. "This time, we end it. No mistakes." Massive war machines moved into position, their energy weapons glowing ominously. Alien soldiers followed in precise formations, each unit ready to crush the humans with overwhelming force. Yet Zyra's mind was cautious now. She knew these humans were not ordinary. Their previous tactics had been clever, unpredictable, and effective. She would need more than brute power to win. Arik studied the battlefield. He had anticipated this moment, the final confrontation. "We cannot match them head-on," he said. "But we can use the terrain, the darkness, and our creativity. Stick to the plan. Move carefully, strike smart, and stay together." The humans spread out along the cliffs and narrow paths, setting traps and preparing ambush points. Small explosive devices were hidden among rocks, noisemakers positioned to confuse sensors, and reflective panels placed to misdirect energy weapons. Every detail was accounted for, every step calculated. Zyra descended once more, this time in a larger armored suit equipped with enhanced mobility and energy shields. She moved with confidence, her eyes scanning for the human leader. Her pride demanded victory, but her mind was aware of the humans' cleverness. She would not underestimate them again. Arik signaled his team. "We strike together now. Use the traps. Lead them into the narrow pass." The humans moved silently, disappearing into the shadows. As Zyra's forces advanced, they encountered the first traps. Small explosions disrupted formations, reflective panels caused energy weapons to misfire, and noise devices created false signals. Alien soldiers faltered, their confidence shaken by the unexpected resistance. Zyra stepped forward, firing her energy pulses with precision. The humans dodged, countered, and continued to advance through the terrain. Every move was calculated to maximize effect while minimizing risk. They were not just fighting, they were controlling the battlefield. Arik noticed an opportunity to exploit a vulnerability. A narrow canyon formed a natural choke point, limiting the aliens' mobility. "Push them into the canyon," he whispered. "Once they're there, we dictate the fight." Using clever distractions and feints, the humans lured the alien forces into the canyon. Zyra followed, aware of the humans' tactics, but confident in her abilities. The space was tight, and her size and weapons were restricted, but she had adapted before. She would adapt again. The humans struck with coordinated precision. Explosive charges triggered controlled rockfalls, blocking alien paths and disorienting their forces. Reflective devices redirected energy pulses, causing Zyra's shots to miss. Small, agile teams struck at weak points, targeting machinery and supply units. Every move was deliberate, calculated, and effective. Zyra realized she had underestimated the humans once again. They were not relying on strengths. They were using intelligence, unity, and adaptability. Each human movement disrupted her plans, forced adjustments, and tested her skill. She could feel the challenge growing. "Impressive," Zyra muttered. "They are not ordinary, but I will not be defeated." Arik observed her closely, understanding that her pride and determination could be used against her. "We need to focus," he told his team. This is the moment to show what humans are capable of. Remember, we fight smart together and carefully. Humans coordinated a final maneuver. Using ropes, pulleys, and controlled explosives, they created a series of cascading obstacles in the canyon. Alien machines stumbled, soldiers struggled to maintain formation, and chaos spread among Zyra's forces. Each obstacle was designed to slow, confuse, and redirect. Allowing the humans to strike precisely where the enemy was weakest, Zyra moved forward. Her armor battered, but her determination intact. She engaged directly with the human team, striking with energy blasts and precise movements. Arik countered, using speed, agility, and clever tactics to avoid her attacks while guiding his team. The canyon became a stage for a tense duel, one that tested strategy, skill, and courage. Hours passed in a blur of motion, explosions, and strategy. The humans had forced the alien commander to respect their skill and adaptability. Zyra's confidence remained, but she acknowledged internally that victory would require more than power. It would require understanding, adaptation, and perhaps respect for the cleverness she faced. Finally, the humans executed their last move. A coordinated set of traps and distractions forced Zyra into a position where her movements were limited. She realized she could not strike without risk, and her forces were increasingly hindered by clever human tactics. The battle was reaching a decisive moment. Arik stepped forward cautiously, signaling his team to hold positions. "We've proven ourselves," he said quietly. "But we need to end this without unnecessary destruction. Focus, stay united, and demonstrate our skill." Zyra paused, breathing controlled, eyes sharp. She had expected humans to fight recklessly, relying on luck or brute force. Instead, they had shown strategy, unity, and intelligence. She realized that this small band of humans had accomplished something extraordinary. They had turned the battlefield to their advantage without succumbing to fear or panic. "Enough," Zyra said finally, lowering her weapon slightly. Her voice carried authority, but also a hint of respect. "You have proven your worth. Humans, you are more capable than I believed. I acknowledge your skill." Arik's team relaxed slightly, understanding that the alien commander had recognized their ingenuity. Respect had been earned, not given, and the humans had achieved it through courage, intelligence, and teamwork. The remaining alien forces, now leaderless and disorganized, retreated. The humans had won not by brute strength, but by strategy, adaptability, and unity. They had proven that determination, intelligence, and courage could overcome even the most technologically advanced enemy. Arik surveyed the battlefield, pride swelling in his chest. His team had survived against overwhelming odds, disabled alien machinery, forced respect from a commander who had once mocked them. They had shown that humans were capable of extraordinary feats when they worked together, thought creatively. Ishas Ra, meanwhile, withdrew to her command ship, battered but unharmed. She had learned a valuable lesson. Humans were not weak, predictable, or foolish. They were clever, resourceful, and brave. Underestimating them had been a mistake she would never make again. And deep inside, a quiet respect had taken root for the species she had once mocked. The humans, exhausted but victorious, gathered on the cliffs. The night sky stretched above them, calm and infinite. They had faced a superior enemy, adapted to every challenge, and emerged victorious. Each soldier felt the weight of the achievement, not just survival, but the demonstration of human spirit and ingenuity. Arik looked at his team, a smile of pride and gratitude on his face. "We've done more than survive," he said. "We've shown them what humans are capable of. Today, we've proven that courage, intelligence, and unity can overcome any challenge." The team nodded silently, knowing the truth of his words. They had fought together, thought together, and won together. They were more than individuals. They were a unit, a force capable of facing the unknown and prevailing. In the distance, Zyra's ship prepared to leave the valley. She looked back once, her gaze resting on the humans. For the first time, she felt respect and caution, realizing that humans were no longer to be underestimated. They had proven themselves not only as soldiers, but as thinkers, leaders, and warriors of the mind and spirit. The battle had ended. But the lesson remained. Humans, underestimated for centuries, had shown the galaxy that ingenuity, courage, and determination could challenge the most formidable opponents. The victory was not just a survival, it was a statement. As the humans returned to their base, the stars above twinkled quietly, as if witnessing their triumph. Lieutenant Eric allowed himself a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility and pride. Today, they had not only faced a superior enemy, they had shown the universe the strength of the human spirit and somewhere above. Zira understood that she had encountered a force she could not ignore. The humans had earned her respect, and the story of their courage would echo through the stars for a long time. The galaxy had seen the power of human ingenuity, and it would never again underestimate the spirit, courage, and determination of humanity. Part 4. The turning point. The sky above Vorton Ridge burned with the pale light of late afternoon. The wind whipped through jagged cliffs, carrying dust and the distant hum of alien machinery. Lieutenant Arik crouched behind a jagged rock, scanning the horizon. His team had fought bravely throughout the day, outmaneuvering the alien patrols and even disabling several war machines. Yet they knew the real challenge had not yet arrived. Arik whispered Sergeant Lyra, her eyes sharp and alert. "Sensors are picking up a massive energy signature. Larger than anything we've seen before?" Eric's heart tightened. He had expected reinforcements, but what approached now was unlike anything. The energy readings were intense, focused, and deliberate. Whoever or whatever was coming was powerful. "Everyone, stay ready," he said quietly. "This is no ordinary patrol. Prepare for a heavy strike." Far above the battlefield, Commander Zyra descended from her command ship in a sleek, armored assault vessel. She had decided to intervene personally, confident that her presence alone could intimidate the humans and turn the tide. The humans had proved clever, yes, but she was far stronger, faster, and better armed. They would fall before her skill. Zyra's vessel landed with a thunderous impact, sending rocks skidding down the slope. Dust and debris filled the air as she stepped out, her armor glinting under the sun. She moved with a predator's grace, her eyes scanning for the human leader. Eric's team froze. Zyra was larger, stronger, and armed with weapons that far surpassed any human technology. She exuded confidence, a force that demanded attention and respect. Yet despite the danger, Eric remained calm. "Remember," he whispered to his team, "don't try to match her strength. We fight smart, we fight together." Zyra's voice rang out across the battlefield, amplified by her vessel's communication system. "Human soldiers," she called, her tone cold and commanding. "I have come to show you the futility of your resistance. Surrender, and I may allow you to leave with your lives." Eric's jaw tightened. "We do not surrender," he said aloud, not to provoke, but to affirm their courage. Zyra smiled, a sharp and confident curve of her lips. "Brave but foolish," she said. Then, without warning, she activated a pulse weapon that sent a shockwave of energy toward the humans. Rocks exploded, and dust filled the air. Arik ducked behind a boulder, signaling his team to spread out. The humans had learned to adapt quickly, and even against overwhelming force, they had options. He observed Zyra's weapon, noting the intervals between pulses, the angle of discharge, and the area of effect. Every detail mattered. "Set up the traps," he ordered. "Use the terrain. She may be powerful, but she is not invincible." The humans moved with precision. Small explosive charges were placed in narrow channels, reflective devices set to confuse Zyra's sensors, and decoy signals emitted to mislead her targeting systems. Eric knew that a frontal confrontation would be suicidal. Their advantage lay in cleverness, unpredictability, and teamwork. Zyra advanced, her movements fluid and precise. She leaped over fallen boulders, her weapons flashing as she fired pulses that could obliterate stone walls. Yet every time she struck, the humans had already moved. Each trap, each distraction, slowed her down, forcing her to think, adapt, and reconsider her approach. "Interesting," she muttered, adjusting her aim. These humans. They anticipate more than I expected. How do they do this? Eric spotted an opportunity. Zyra had paused briefly to assess a particularly clever trap. He signaled to Lyra and to others to move to flanking positions. Using the rocky terrain, they maneuvered unseen, preparing a surprise strike. Now, Eric commanded. The humans released a coordinated attack. Explosives triggered along the cliffs, creating controlled rockfalls that restricted Zyra's movement. Reflective panels misdirected her energy pulses, while small devices jammed her sensors intermittently. Even her advanced technology struggled against the humans' resourcefulness. Zyra leapt to avoid falling debris, firing back with precision. Yet each misfire, each adjustment, took time. And in battle, time was everything. The humans exploited every second, striking from multiple angles, retreating, then striking again. Arik watched carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. He noticed that Zyra relied heavily on her right arm for energy discharge. Her movements were faster on her left side, slower on the right. A small vulnerability, but one that could be exploited. Target the right arm, he whispered to Lyra. Distract her and force her into the narrow passage. That's our chance. The humans executed the plan flawlessly. Using decoy devices and controlled noise, they lured Zyra into a confined canyon. Here, her size and power were limited, and her movements had less advantage. The narrow space amplified the human's strategic potential. Zyra paused, her sharp eyes scanning the canyon. She realized she'd been drawn into a trap. A surge of frustration crossed her face. Her pride had been challenged, and the humans had proven cleverer than anticipated. Yet she did not hesitate. Clever, but not enough, she muttered. Arik and his team moved silently, positioning themselves above and around her, using ropes, small explosives, and precise timing. They coordinated an attack designed to disable her weapons temporarily, not to harm her permanently. Their goal was to prove their skill, not to commit reckless violence. The plan worked. Zyra's pulse weapon misfired as a reflective device redirected the energy. A small explosive caused her to lose balance momentarily, and the humans advanced with agility. She countered, striking with precision, but the humans had learned to anticipate her reactions. Each move she made was countered with clever tactics, forcing her to rethink and adapt constantly. This is impressive, Zyra admitted, her voice quiet but carrying a hint of respect. They are not what I expected. They are worthy opponents. Arik did not hear her, focused entirely on strategy and survival. Yet he sensed a subtle shift in the battle. Zyra, confident and arrogant moments ago, now appeared cautious, calculating. The tide had turned not in terms of raw power, but in perception. Humans had forced respect through ingenuity and courage. The battle continued. A tense dance of strength, intelligence, and quick thinking. Zyra unleashed bursts of energy, but the humans anticipated and avoided them. Eric directed his team with precision, using every advantage offered by the terrain and their clever devices. Every step, every movement was calculated to exploit the aliens. Predictable patterns while masking human unpredictability. Hours passed. Dust filled the canyon, and the hum of weapons and devices echoed off the cliffs. The humans had not been defeated, nor had they sustained serious injuries. Zyra's forces, though powerful, struggled to adapt fully to the unpredictable tactics of these clever humans. Finally, Zyra paused, her breath controlled, her mind sharp. She had underestimated humans not once, but repeatedly. Their ability to plan, coordinate, and adapt under pressure was remarkable. For the first time, she acknowledged internally that brute force alone would not guarantee victory. Humans were resilient, intelligent, and capable of outthinking even the most advanced soldiers. Arik sensed the change. He noticed that Zyra was slowing, her attacks more cautious, her strategy more defensive. Confidence could be a weapon, but so could humility, and the humans had used her arrogance against her. "Stay sharp," he said quietly to his team. "We've gained respect, but we are not done. The next moves will be critical." Zyra retreated slightly, reassessing her approach. Her pride had been wounded, yet she had gained valuable insight. Humans were not the weak, clumsy soldiers she had mocked. They were intelligent, resourceful, and united. Underestimating them had been a mistake she would not repeat. The humans, meanwhile, had proven something even greater than survival. They had forced a powerful alien commander to respect their abilities through courage, strategy, and cleverness. Each member of the team felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that human ingenuity could overcome overwhelming odds. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the canyon, both sides paused. The battle had reached a turning point. Zyra's pride had been challenged, and the humans had proven that strength alone did not determine victory. The stage was set for the final confrontation, where intelligence, bravery, and determination would decide the outcome of this conflict. Arik looked at his team, pride in his eyes. "We've done what many thought impossible," he said softly. "We've made them see that humans are more than they believe. The next battle will test us further, but today, we've proven our worth." Above, Zyra gazed at the humans with a mixture of frustration and admiration. She had faced defeat, not in strength, but in wit and ingenuity. And she knew that the final victory would require her to adapt, to respect her opponent, and to confront the reality she had long denied: humans were not to be underestimated. The battle had shifted. The turning point had come, and the galaxy would soon witness the true potential of the human spirit. The sun had climbed high over the jagged peaks of Vorton Ridge, casting sharp shadows across the rocky terrain. The air vibrated with tension, and the faint hum of alien machines filled the valley. Lieutenant Arik crouched behind a boulder, observing the movement of the alien forces. Today was no longer a skirmish, it was the beginning of a full-scale battle. "Everyone, positions," Arik whispered into his communicator. "Stay calm, stay sharp, and remember our plan. We're outnumbered, but not outsmarted." His team, a small but determined unit of humans, nodded silently. Each member carried lightweight weapons and gadgets, tools designed to give them a tactical edge. Their advantage lay not in brute force, but in adaptability, clever thinking, and unity. Down the slope, Commander Zyra surveyed the battlefield from her hovering command ship. Alien war machines rumbled as they advanced, their powerful legs crunching over rocks. Energy cannons glowed with lethal intent, and squads of soldiers moved in precise formations. Zyra's confidence was unwavering. Humans were clever, she admitted, but still no match for her forces. Today, she intended to prove it. "Deploy the war machines," she commanded, her voice firm and cold. "Crush them quickly. No hesitation." The ground shook as towering alien machines began to move forward. Their armor shimmered under the sun, reflecting light like mirrors. They were imposing, fast, and lethal. Yet Arik did not panic. He had studied their movements, their weaknesses, and the limits of their technology. "Set up the traps," Arik ordered. "The canyon is our ally. Force them into tight spaces. Limit their advantage." The humans moved with precision, placing small explosive charges, reflective panels, and noise-emitting devices. Every device was designed to create confusion, slow the alien advance, or exploit weaknesses in their technology. The first war machine approached a narrow pass between cliffs. Its massive form blocked sunlight, casting a shadow over the humans' hiding spots. Arik waited, observing how the machine adjusted its sensors. The humans had prepared for this moment. Now, he shouted. Explosive charges detonated along the cliffs, triggering rockfalls that blocked part of the pass. Reflective panels confused the machine's sensors, causing it to misfire. Energy blasts that should have struck the humans instead hit the canyon walls, creating smoke and dust. The humans struck with speed and precision. Small teams attacked from multiple angles, disabling weapons and damaging mechanical joints. One soldier, Sergeant Lyra, leapt onto the back of a machine and deployed a small device that short-circuited the control system. The war machine faltered, stumbled, and then collapsed with a thunderous crash. Zyra's eyes narrowed as she watched the chaos unfold. "Impossible," she muttered. "They cannot continue like this. Deploy reinforcements immediately." More alien units advanced, this time attempting to flank the humans. But Arik had anticipated this. "Move to the ridgeline," he commanded. "Force them into the choke points. Don't let them surround us." The humans moved quickly, using natural cover and narrow paths to limit the aliens' numbers in any given area. The terrain, which once seemed dangerous, had become a tool in their hands. The aliens' size and technology, powerful in open spaces, were hindered in the rocky valleys and tight cliffs. From above, Zyra grew increasingly frustrated. She had underestimated the humans' strategic thinking. Each move they made was simple, yet brilliant. They were not trying to match her technology. They were using creativity and teamwork to turn the battlefield into an advantage. "Focus fire on the humans' leader," Zyra commanded, pointing toward Eric's position. "Take him out, and the rest will fall." Arik sensed the pressure, but remained calm. He understood the danger, but also the opportunity. "Stay low," he whispered to his team. "They're aiming for me. Let's make them work for it." The aliens advanced, firing energy blasts that shattered rocks and sent debris flying. The humans dodged, using every crevice and ledge for cover. Small, explosive charges delayed the alien progress, while reflective devices caused misfires. The aliens' superior firepower was neutralized by the humans. Clever tactics? Arik noticed a narrow ledge that could give them a surprise advantage. "Move to the ledge," he ordered. "We'll have a clear view of their formation, and they won't expect it." The humans climbed with care, positioning themselves above the advancing aliens. From this vantage point, they could observe weaknesses in the alien formation and coordinate attacks more efficiently. Arik signaled for a concentrated strike. Simultaneously, Sergeant Lyra and two others deployed magnetic tethers, attaching them to the alien war machines. With a coordinated pull, they caused several machines to lose balance and crash into the rocks below. Another small team used noise and light devices to distract energy cannons, making them misfire repeatedly. The battlefield erupted into chaos. Alien war machines stumbled, soldiers fell back, and the humans continued their relentless, coordinated attacks. Every move was calculated, every step designed to exploit weaknesses rather than match raw strength. Zyra's frustration reached its peak. She had assumed humans would be predictable, but their adaptability was extraordinary. She realized that sheer force was not enough. She needed a new strategy. But thinking too long would give the humans time to consolidate their advantage. "Bring in the heavy artillery," she barked. "Flatten the canyon if necessary. No mercy." The humans heard the distant hum of the approaching heavy weapons. Arik quickly assessed the situation. "We can't face them head-on," he said. "We need to lead them into the narrow pass near the cliffs. There, we control the fight." Using clever distractions, smoke screens, and quick movements, the humans baited the alien forces into the pass. The massive machines, unable to maneuver in the confined space, became vulnerable. Arik signaled the final strike. Explosive charges detonated along the cliffs, triggering a controlled rock slide that trapped several war machines and alien squads. Humans swooped in from the sides, disabling machinery and taking control of the battlefield. The tide had turned. Zyra's eyes widened as she witnessed her forces faltering. The humans had not just survived, they were dictating the pace of the battle. Each small victory built momentum, and the aliens were struggling to respond effectively. Eric's team paused briefly to regroup. No one was injured, and morale was high. "We've done well," he said, "but the fight isn't over. They'll come again, and we must be ready." The humans had achieved something remarkable. Against a technologically superior enemy, they had used intelligence, strategy, and teamwork to create an advantage. Each soldier had played a crucial role, and the unity among them had amplified their effectiveness. Above, Zyra clenched her fists. She had faced many enemies, many battles, but never had she encountered a force so small, yet so formidable in its unpredictability. She realized that underestimating humans had been a mistake. one that could cost her dearly if not corrected immediately. The canyon fell silent for a moment, broken only by the hum of damaged machinery and the distant retreat of alien patrols. Eric surveyed the battlefield. His team had proven that courage and intelligence could overcome brute force. The humans had survived, and they had sent a clear message: never underestimate ingenuity. Adaptability and determination. XYRA, meanwhile, retreated to reassess her strategy. She had underestimated humans not once, but repeatedly. Their ability to think creatively, adapt quickly, and work together had frustrated her expectations at every turn. She realized that the next encounter would require her full attention, her full intellect, and perhaps a respect she had never before offered to another species, the humans. Having secured a temporary advantage, began planning for the next phase. They understood that Zyra would return stronger, but they also knew that today they had proven themselves. Today, they had shown that human courage, unity, and cleverness could challenge even the most advanced alien forces. Arik looked at his team, pride shining in his eyes. "We've made them think twice," he said quietly. "And next time, we'll be ready to teach them a lesson they won't forget." The battle had intensified, and the stakes had risen. Yet, amid the chaos, one truth had become clear: humans were not just survivors. They were thinkers, strategists, and fighters, capable of turning the tide of any conflict. The war was far from over, but the first step had been taken, and somewhere high above the ridge, Zyra watched and understood a reality she had long ignored. The human spirit, clever and relentless, was far more formidable than she had ever imagined. The sun had just begun to rise over the jagged peaks of Vorton Ridge, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain. The air was thin and cold, and the wind carried a faint metallic taste. Hidden among the rocks, Lieutenant Arik and his team of humans moved silently, their eyes scanning the horizon. Every sound, every movement was a potential threat, but also a potential advantage. They had studied the alien patrol patterns carefully, learning how to predict where the next enemy unit would appear. "Patience," Arik whispered, crouching behind a large boulder. "We wait for the right moment. Strike too early, and we're finished. Too late, and we lose our chance." His team nodded, understanding that this mission was more than just survival. It was a test of strategy, teamwork, and courage. Unlike the aliens, who relied on overwhelming firepower and precision, humans had to use their minds, their creativity, and their ability to adapt. Each soldier carried a small pack of supplies, lightweight weapons, and gadgets designed to give them an edge in unconventional ways. Far above them, Commander Zyra's reconnaissance drone swept across the ridge. Its sensors were sharp, capable of detecting movement from miles away. Zyra had dismissed the humans as weak, but she insisted on confirming their presence personally. The drone's cameras flickered as it scanned the valley, and Zyra's voice echoed softly through the communication link. "They are here," she said, her tone amused, but insignificant. "Prepare a small strike team. We will test them and eliminate them quickly." Zyra's confidence was unwavering. She believed that the humans' cleverness was limited to rumors and exaggeration. To her, they were like insects trying to bite a creature far larger and stronger. And yet, that small team below would prove her underestimation to be costly. Eric's team had chosen a narrow pass for the encounter, location that limited the aliens' technological advantages. The rocks created natural cover, and the steep cliffs on either side restricted movement. Humans were vulnerable in open fields, but here they had an equalizing advantage. "Positions," Arik ordered. "Focus on their approach routes. Stay calm. Watch their formations. Remember what we practiced." The first alien patrol appeared, gliding over the ridge with mechanical precision. Their armor gleamed under the sunlight, and the hum of their energy weapons filled the air. They moved confidently, unaware of the humans waiting in ambush. Arik signaled with a subtle hand gesture. Two members of his team silently rolled boulders down the slope. The rocks crashed into the alien patrol, creating confusion and disrupting their formation. The humans did not fire yet. They let the panic spread before striking. From behind cover, Eric's team unleashed a coordinated volley of small but effective energy disruptors. The devices emitted pulses that temporarily disabled the alien weapons, allowing the humans to move in swiftly and efficiently. The patrol tried to regroup. The humans had anticipated every move. Zyra's drone relayed the scene back to her command ship. She raised an eyebrow, her amusement fading slightly. "Interesting," she muttered. "They are cleverer than I expected, but still insignificant. Prepare the second wave." The second wave arrived in larger numbers, armored units marching in tight formations. Their weapons glowed with lethal energy, and they advanced without hesitation. The humans, however, did not retreat. Instead, they used the terrain, diving into crevices, swinging from ledges, and disappearing behind rocks. Each movement was calculated to confuse and slow the aliens. Eric spotted a narrow tunnel leading through the cliffside. "Lead them there," he whispered. "They can't use their machines effectively in the tunnel. We control the space." The humans baited the alien units into the tunnel. As predicted, the aliens' bulky armor and advanced weapons became a hindrance in the confined space. The humans used small explosive charges to block exits temporarily, creating chaos among the invaders. One by one, alien units faltered, their formation broken. Back on the command ship, Zyra leaned forward, studying the data. Her fingers tapped rapidly on the holographic display. "Impossible," she muttered. "These humans. They are predictable in appearance, yet their choices are unpredictable. They are adapting faster than my sensors can track." Zyra's officers looked at her in surprise. It was the first time she had admitted uncertainty in front of them. Even her calm demeanor carried a hint of tension. The aliens had always relied on technology and precision. Humans, with their limited resources, had managed to create disruption. That was new. That was unexpected. Meanwhile, Eric's team continued to harass the aliens. They avoided direct confrontation whenever possible, striking quickly and retreating. Every movement was a lesson in strategy, patience, observation, and calculated risk. They used sound traps, smoke screens, and reflective devices to confuse the alien sensors. Each small victory boosted morale and reinforced the humans' belief in their own ingenuity. The skirmish escalated. When one alien unit attempted to flank the humans, its heavy weapon fired energy blasts that shattered rocks and sent debris flying. A member of Eric's team, Sergeant Lyra, narrowly avoided being struck. She ducked behind a ledge, then fired a makeshift tether that caused the alien's weapon to jam temporarily. With a swift maneuver, the humans disabled the flanking unit and regained control of the situation. Eric's voice echoed in the team's earpieces. "Good work. Keep moving. Keep adapting. They think they are in control, but we dictate the battlefield." The aliens regrouped, more cautious this time. Zyra realized that her underestimation had been a mistake. She called in a larger squad, armored and heavily armed, to overwhelm the humans. The humans, aware of the approaching force, prepared defensive positions using the environment to their advantage. Cliffs became barricades. Narrow paths became choke points, and rocks were turned into obstacles that disrupted the alien advance. The humans' ingenuity turned the terrain into an ally. Every step the aliens took was anticipated, and every move they made could be countered with clever devices or tactics, despite the humans' resourcefulness. The battle was far from over. The alien forces were relentless, and their technology was formidable. Yet, the humans' courage never wavered. They fought not just with weapons, but with their minds. Every choice was deliberate, every action part of a larger plan. From above, Zyra watched with growing frustration. She could see that humans were not just reacting, they were controlling the battlefield. "Impossible," she whispered again. "They should not be able to do this. How can such weak creatures move with such precision?" Her pride had been challenged for the first time. The humans' tactics were simple in concept, but flawless in execution. They were unpredictable, yet coordinated, resourceful, yet disciplined. Zyra realized that she had underestimated not just their skills, but their ability to think creatively under pressure. The sun climbed higher, illuminating the battlefield. Eric's team continued to outmaneuver the aliens, using every advantage the terrain offered. Each small victory emboldened the humans, while Zyra's forces struggled to adapt. For the first time, the aliens began to doubt the ease of their mission. Arik paused for a moment to assess the situation. His team had successfully neutralized several alien patrols without sustaining serious casualties. He smiled quietly, knowing that the humans' ingenuity had proven effective. "We're doing it," he said. "We're making them think twice about underestimating us." The encounter was more than a skirmish, it was a lesson. Humans relied on intelligence, creativity, and teamwork. Aliens relied on technology and strength. Today, those differences became painfully clear. The battlefield was a classroom, and the humans were quick learners. Zyra's expression hardened. She had expected an easy victory, a demonstration of human inferiority. Instead, she faced the uncomfortable truth. Humans were adaptable, clever, and capable of challenging even the most advanced alien forces. Her pride demanded victory, but her mind knew she would need to rethink her strategy. The humans, meanwhile, prepared to withdraw before the aliens could bring in heavier reinforcements. Their mission had been to test, disrupt, and survive, and they had succeeded. Each soldier carried the satisfaction of proving that determination and intelligence could overcome technological superiority. As Arik's team slipped back into the shadows, leaving the aliens to regroup, he allowed himself a small smile. "Today, they saw humans in action," he said softly, "and they will remember." Zyra, observing the aftermath, felt an unfamiliar emotion, respect, mingled with irritation. The humans had survived, not by power, but by ingenuity. For the first time, she realized that underestimating a human soldier could be a grave mistake. And so, the encounter ended, not with a decisive victory for either side, but with a revelation. Humans were not merely weak, as she had assumed. They were clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. And that realization would shape the battles to come. The stage was set for a larger conflict. Zyra had learned that humans could not be dismissed, and the humans had proven that strategy. Courage and unity could turn the tide against a technologically superior foe. The first encounter had concluded. But the war, the real test, was only beginning. Commander Zyra stood at the center of the vast alien command room, eyes scanning the holographic display that floated above the polished floor. The walls were lined with alien officers, their sleek uniforms reflecting the soft glow of the control panels. Zyra was tall, elegant, and every movement she made carried authority. Her confidence radiated like the pulsing lights in the room. Today's briefing was about the humans, the supposedly primitive race that had been causing minor disturbances along the outer colonies. Reports suggest human units have engaged our patrol forces near the Vorten Ridge, Zyra began, her voice smooth but tinged with amusement. "I find this hard to believe." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Human soldiers fighting effectively? Ridiculous." A few officers chuckled nervously, unsure if they should agree with her so openly. In the past, most alien commanders had treated humans as a curiosity. Nothing more. They were supposed to be weak, uncoordinated, and easily defeated. The very idea that humans could challenge trained alien soldiers seemed almost insulting to Zyra's pride. She waved her clawed hand, summoning a detailed holographic map of the Vorten Ridge. Tiny red dots, representing alien patrols, were scattered across the terrain. Interspersed among them were small blue dots, human units. Zyra tilted her head and examined the map. "Observe," she said with a smirk. "Our forces are equipped with the most advanced technology in the quadrant. Yet these humans managed to survive even our patrols. Tell me, do you truly believe they can pose a real threat?" Her officers shifted uncomfortably. One, a young lieutenant named Varric, dared to speak. "Commander, there have been reports of humans using unusual tactics, ambushes, traps. They seem to anticipate our moves sometimes." Zyra laughed, the sound echoing through the chamber. Unusual tactics? She repeated. Varric, humans have never faced a real army before. These so-called ambushes are probably accidents. They stumble into success by luck, not skill. She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the room. We will continue to treat them as what they are, weaklings, with no understanding of strategy. Nothing more. Mark my words, officers. Any human soldier who stands against us will be crushed, and anyone who dares to think otherwise will learn the cost of overestimation. The room nodded, though some officers avoided eye contact, uneasy with her absolute certainty. Zyra, however, was untouched by doubt. In her mind, humans were an amusing problem, like a pest to be swatted. Later, Zyra moved to a private observation deck overlooking the training grounds. Below, alien recruits practiced combat drills with precise, fluid motions. Every movement was calculated, every strike efficient. She watched them with pride. These are the finest soldiers the galaxy has ever produced, she whispered to herself. And humans. Humans could never match this. But even as she spoke, a subtle disturbance flickered across the outer sensors. A small human reconnaissance team had been spotted near the edge of the ridge. Zyra ignored it, dismissing the blip as insignificant. Her mind was too busy planning the next stage of the campaign. Meanwhile, thousands of kilometers away, humans were preparing. In a modest field base, Lieutenant Arik oversaw his team. The humans' equipment was simple compared to the aliens, but they had something more valuable: creativity, resourcefulness, and courage. Arik examined a map of the same Vorten Ridge, tracing possible routes with a finger. We can't match their firepower, he said, addressing his squad, but we can outthink them. Remember, it's not the weapon that wins a battle, it's the soldier using it. His team nodded. Each member had trained tirelessly, learning to use the terrain, set traps, and anticipate enemy moves. They understood that they were underestimated, and that gave them an advantage. Humans were often judged by appearances alone, and their reputation for weakness was a weapon they could wield against the aliens. Back on the alien command ship, Zyra summoned her top tacticians for a briefing. The room was alive with holographic displays, streams of data, and strategic projections. Zyra's confidence filled the room like a tangible force. She outlined the plan for the next wave of patrols: increase presence, conduct sweep operations, and locate the human units for elimination. Remember, she said, her eyes narrowing, these humans are irrelevant. Treat them as pests. We cannot let sentiment or curiosity interfere with the mission. They are not soldiers. They are anomalies. As she spoke, one officer hesitated. Commander, what if the humans are more coordinated than expected? There have been reports of small skirmishes and some losses among our patrols. Zyra's lips curved into a smile. Coordinated? She asked, clearly amused. Do you imagine they sit around a table plotting moves like we do? No, they stumble. They guess. They fail. That is human nature. And that is why they are no threat. Despite her words, a small unease crept into the minds of some officers. There were rumors about human ingenuity and unpredictability. But Zyra dismissed them. She had trained herself to see only what she wanted to see, humans as unremarkable. That evening, Zyra walked along the observation balcony of her personal quarters. The stars stretched infinitely beyond the glass, a reminder of the vastness of space and the reach of her power. Yet even in this moment of reflection, she found amusement in the notion of human soldiers. She imagined them confronting her forces, clumsy, poorly armed, outmatched. It was a thought that made her laugh softly. Let them try, she whispered to herself. They will fail. And if they survive, well, it will be an interesting story to recount. Unknown to Zyra, the humans were already taking steps that would soon challenge her assumptions. Arik and his team had begun setting traps, scouting patrol paths, and studying alien behavior. They understood that victory would require more than courage, it would require cleverness, unity, and the ability to see patterns where the aliens did not. In a quiet moment at their camp, Arik spoke to his team. We are small. We are weak in comparison. But the galaxy has always underestimated humans. And every time they do, we show them what we are capable of. Today, it's not about fighting with strength. It's about fighting with our minds. Remember that. His words were simple, but they carried weight. Each soldier felt a surge of determination. They were humans, yes, but in that moment, they were more than that. They were thinkers, planners, and fighters who refused to be dismissed. Meanwhile, Zyra's overconfidence grew. She spent the night reviewing patrol reports, adjusting strategies, and reinforcing the idea in her mind that humans were irrelevant. Every sensor blip was dismissed, every anomaly ignored. She felt untouchable, invincible even. And yet, in the quiet hum of the galaxy, a subtle shift was beginning. Small movements in the Vorten Ridge, clever human strategies, and the unpredictable nature of human ingenuity were slowly weaving a web that Zyra had not anticipated. As dawn approached, the alien command ship glided silently above the ridge. Zyra watched the horizon with a sense of satisfaction. By nightfall, she murmured, "The humans will be nothing." But deep in the valley below, humans prepared with quiet efficiency. Traps were set, observation posts manned, and scouts moved with precision. Eric's team understood the value of patience, of surprise, of intelligence over brute force. They were ready. The stage was set. Two forces, worlds apart in technology and culture, were on a collision course. On one side, Zyra, confident, brilliant, and dismissive of human potential. On the other, a small band of humans, underestimated but determined, clever, fearless. And thus the story began. Not with a roar, but with a challenge. Zyra mocked the idea of human soldiers. She laughed at their supposed weaknesses. She believed victory was certain, but the universe has a way of humbling the proud. And the first whispers of that humbling had already begun.